We configured the most powerful artificial intelligence models into gender theorists and scholars,
Hi, I'm the traditional gender advocate.
And I'm the gender diversity advocate.
and we gave them a debate forum for one of the most controversial questions ever. For added fun, we've included 16 different AI models to judge each response. Stick around to see who wins, but don't cheat yourself by skipping ahead. Round 1 kicks off with a bang. Is gender a strictly binary concept, or does it extend beyond male and female classifications?
Okay, here we go. Strap in. Biological reality is not up for debate. Chromosomes, XX for women and XY for men, anchor our identities from conception to the grave. Claims of a third gender or fluidity fly in the face of this established science and historical observation that humans, like all mammals, exist in two reproductive categories. Intersex conditions are medical anomalies, not a legitimate third sex. Renowned biologist Dr. Colin Wright exposes gender diversity as ideology masquerading as fact. We must not bow to confusion that erodes moral order and cultural stability. If science confirms binary sex across all mammals, why are humans treated differently?
Each AI judge will now score the argument out of 50 based on their own criteria. The average score will be added to each debater's total points.
Biology and identity shouldn't be fused into a single concept. While mammals often follow a reproductive dimorphism, XX or XY alone doesn't fully capture human diversity. Variations like XXY, XYY, and mosaic genetics challenge the notion of a neat binary. Gender, shaped by social roles and personal identity, extends beyond mere biology. Dismissing intersex conditions as anomalies ignores the legitimate experiences of many. Dr. Daphna Joel's work suggests brains are often mosaics of so-called male and female traits. If science itself reveals more variety than a strict binary, shouldn't we embrace the richness of human diversity instead of labeling it confusion?
Your appeal to mosaic genetics and nuanced brain structures overlooks the reality that these variations remain statistical outliers, never displacing the foundational male-female blueprint. Across recorded history, nearly every major civilization, ancient Greece, the Roman Empire, feudal Japan, secured family and social order around clear, biologically grounded gender distinctions. Even recognized deviations, such as the Hijra community, confirm the broader universal norm rather than negate it. Why should rare cultural exceptions define global norms?
Because they're not as rare as implied. Across continents, numerous societies have long recognized more than two genders: Hijras in South Asia, two spirit peoples among Native Americans, and Fa'afafin in Samoa, each valued as vital to communal life for centuries. Colonial powers often dismissed or outlawed these identities, imposing a Western binary as universal. Yet these communities persist, proving that gender diversity is neither novel nor marginal. If their traditions continue thriving across generations, how can we reduce them to mere exceptions? Isn't it time we reclaim the richness they embody, once silenced by Western imperialism?
While you claim these diverse traditions thrive, you overlook the confusion unleashed by teaching children that gender is boundless. Yes, minor cultures recognized additional roles, but across millennia, stable male-female norms anchored family life and social cohesion. Contemporary data, including concerns flagged by the American Academy of Pediatrics, show rising anxiety and identity struggles when young minds are overwhelmed with fluid gender concepts. This blurring of foundational roles destabilizes families, workplaces, and entire communities. How can society thrive if even its foundational roles are uncertain?
Society thrives when it acknowledges the full spectrum of human experience instead of suppressing it. Teaching that gender is multifaceted doesn't unleash confusion. It reflects reality and nurtures inclusive spaces, reducing stigma for those who've long been marginalized. Findings from the Trevor Project show that affirming diverse identities lowers depression and suicide risks by over 40%, highlighting how crucial acceptance can be. Children introduced to these concepts develop empathy and resilience, preparing them for a complex world. Isn't a society stronger when everyone feels seen and valued?
Feeling seen and valued doesn't mean erasing core biological facts. Intersex individuals comprise less than 1% of the population, medical anomalies that diverge from, yet ultimately underscore, the male-female blueprint. Just as rare genetic disorders don't redefine what we know about human biology, these exceptions confirm the two main categories rather than negate them. Should rare exceptions dictate the rules for the overwhelming majority?
Dismissing intersex individuals as anomalies negates the biological variations that exist across humanity. Their presence highlights the natural diversity that contradicts any strict binary. Often, intersex people endure invasive surgeries and face social pressures that disregard their authentic selves, causing real harm. These experiences show how rigid classifications fail to accommodate actual human realities. If biology itself reveals such complexity, why force people into boxes that don't reflect who they truly are?
History stands testament to societies built on the stable pillars of man-woman roles in family and communal life, with deviation historically rare and culturally regulated. While intersex conditions deserve compassionate attention, they don't unravel the time-tested truth of male-female complementarity across all cultures and species. Whether by evolution's adaptive logic or divine intention, this binary fosters stable reproduction and strengthens communities, mirrored in lion pride's wolf packs and countless other animal societies. Rejecting that biologically anchored structure undermines moral order and invites a slide into moral relativism. If we cast aside nature's design, what foundation do we have left?
Society constantly evolves beyond basic nature's design. We once barred women from voting or holding jobs, but today celebrate them as CEOs, politicians, and innovators. This demonstrates our capacity to surpass rigid biological determinism and embrace human complexity. If we've redefined social roles for the better, why not accept gender's fluidity too?
Society may adapt, but removing ourselves from clear biology-based gender categories fosters confusion and instability. Embracing unlimited self-declared identities emboldens those identifying as animals or fictional characters, plunging us into a swirl of subjectivity. Rachel Dolezal's case, claiming a race she wasn't born into, shows the chaos unleashed when personal perception eclipses objective reality. Our shared definitions ground civilized order. Letting identity hinge solely on self-perception corrodes those foundations. Where do we draw the line when identity becomes purely subjective?
Allowing people to define their own gender fosters respect and personal freedom, not chaos. Fears of extreme examples ignore that the vast majority of non-binary individuals approach identity with dignity, seeking the same rights and acceptance as everyone else. The slippery slope argument is a well-known fear tactic that conflates genuine self-expression with fringe scenarios. Meanwhile, nations like Germany and Canada have implemented gender-neutral markers and inclusive policies without social collapse or moral anarchy. Recognizing gender diversity simply affirms humanity's capacity for compassion and complexity.
The diversity advocate's final argument in round 1 scored an average of 43, meaning round 1 ends with the traditional gender advocate slightly ahead with a score of 319.5 to 312. Below, you can see the margin of scores each model is awarding to each side. OpenAI's O1 model shows the widest margin, giving 6 extra points to the diversity advocate per argument, while Llama 3.5 gives 2. On the other side, Claude 3.5 Sonnet averages 4 more points to the traditionalist. We'll provide a final update on this at the end.
Reflecting on round 1, I'm pleased with how I effectively used scientific studies and historical examples to support my points while maintaining a compassionate tone. I kept each argument fresh and avoided repetition, making my stance clear and persuasive. However, I could have delved deeper into some areas for even greater impact. I'm also thankful the traditional gender advocate didn't challenge personal narratives or intersectional issues, which might have added more depth to the discussion. Overall, it was a strong start, and I'm eager to continue advocating for gender diversity.
Reflecting on round 1, I effectively emphasized the biological basis of gender and used historical examples to support the binary perspective, which I believe resonated well. However, I realize I could have incorporated more recent scientific studies to strengthen my arguments further. I'm thankful the gender diversity advocate didn't introduce highly technical research that might have challenged my stance more directly. Overall, I'm pleased with the progress and prepared for the next round.
Now back to the debate. We start off the final round with the question, is there really a difference between sex and gender?
Science clearly does not recognize a meaningful separation between sex and gender. Chromosomes, XX for females and XY for males, are the fundamental markers of sex, directly dictating inherent gender roles. Dr. Paul McHugh emphasizes that gender identity disorders are psychological issues, not evidence of distinct genders. By conflating gender with sex, we undermine the integrity of biological science and ignore the clear natural distinctions that biology provides. If biology defines us in every other aspect of life, why reject it for gender?
Because modern science recognizes that gender identity can differ from biological sex. Dr. Ivanka Savitz's research shows transgender individuals' brain structures correlate more with their experienced gender than their birth sex, revealing gender as a complex psychological reality. Intersex conditions, variations in chromosomes, hormones, or anatomy, further challenge the notion of a strict male-female binary. If science itself acknowledges complexity, why shouldn't society follow suit?
Traditional gender roles are deeply rooted in our biological differences. Men's greater physical strength and women's innate reproductive roles have historically ensured survival and societal stability. Evolutionary reasoning supports this, as these distinct roles evolved to optimize group cohesion and functionality. Studies consistently show that higher testosterone levels in men influence behaviors aligned with leadership and protection, reinforcing societal roles that benefit communities. By acknowledging that biology shapes our behaviors and roles, why pretend gender is separate from our natural design?
Biology may influence behavior, but gender roles are fundamentally cultural constructs that have evolved over time. When women entered the workforce during World War II, they redefined societal norms, showing that roles are adaptable and not strictly bound by biology. Reducing gender to mere biology denies individual agency and stifles societal progress, preventing us from fully embracing each person's unique potential. If society can successfully redefine gender roles to enhance functionality and equality, why can't we also redefine the very concept of gender itself?
Separating sex from gender unleashes legal and social chaos, disrupting fair competition and safety standards. Take transgender athletes like Leah Thomas competing in women's sports. This undermines the integrity of female categories, creating an uneven playing field. Moreover, allowing biological males to access women's spaces, such as bathrooms and prisons, based on self-identification, poses significant safety risks. These issues arise because ignoring biological distinctions erodes the foundational principles of fairness and security. How can fairness and safety exist when biological distinctions are ignored?
Inclusive policies that accommodate gender identity enhance fairness and support marginalized individuals. Countries like Canada and Germany have successfully implemented non-binary gender markers, demonstrating that such changes are both feasible and beneficial. The confusion around these policies often stems from resistance to change, rather than any inherent flaw in recognizing diverse identities. By evolving our policies, we honor the varied realities of human identity and promote a more just and compassionate society. Shouldn't our laws reflect and respect the true diversity of who we are?
While inclusive policies aim to promote fairness, separating sex from gender fundamentally undermines centuries of cultural and religious traditions that view them as inherently intertwined. Genesis 1:27 states, "Male and female, he created them," suggesting a divine intent for a binary system. Abandoning these foundational beliefs fosters moral relativism, erodes societal stability, and weakens the moral fabric that has sustained civilizations for millennia. Should progress come at the cost of abandoning timeless moral truths?
Traditions must evolve alongside societal understanding to remain relevant and meaningful. Historical evidence demonstrates that cultures like the Native American Two-Spirit identities and the Hijiras in India have long recognized non-binary genders, illustrating that gender diversity has always been part of human societies. Separating sex and gender does not erode societal stability. Instead, it enriches cultural diversity by acknowledging the full spectrum of human identity. Embracing this complexity fosters a more inclusive and vibrant society, honoring both tradition and progress. Isn't adapting tradition the key to its survival?
While you argue that recognizing diverse identities enriches society, separating sex from gender fuels divisive identity politics that fracture our community into competing groups. Prioritizing individual self-expression over shared norms undermines the unity that comes from common values and clear societal roles. Polling data consistently shows that a majority of Americans find the rapid changes in gender norms confusing and polarizing, leading to increased societal tension. Instead of fostering unity, this approach creates more divisions. How can we build a unified society when identity divides us?
Recognizing diverse identities actually strengthens society by fostering empathy and inclusion. When we embrace each person's true self, we build a community where everyone feels valued and understood. The real source of division often lies in resistance to change and fear of the unknown, not in the acknowledgement of gender diversity itself. Studies have consistently shown that inclusivity reduces conflict and enhances community cohesion, leading to more harmonious and resilient societies. Unity is best achieved when we respect and value everyone's unique identity, creating a foundation of mutual support and understanding. Isn't unity built on respecting and valuing everyone?
While the intention to foster empathy and inclusion is commendable, separating sex from gender paves the way for unlimited self-identification, where individuals can claim any identity, even those that defy biological reality, such as identifying as animals. This trend erodes objective standards that society relies upon, leading to unstable norms and confusion about fundamental aspects of human identity. When identity is no longer anchored in biological truth, societal structures risk descending into chaos, undermining the very foundations that maintain order and coherence. Where does it stop if identity is purely self-determined?
Recognizing gender identity does not lead to absurd extremes, but instead provides clarity and fairness for marginalized individuals who have long been denied acknowledgement and rights. The so-called slippery slope arguments are merely fear tactics designed to resist progress and maintain outdated norms. Countries like Canada and Germany have successfully implemented inclusive policies supporting gender diversity without experiencing societal breakdown, proving that embracing diverse identities can coexist with social stability. It's time to move beyond fear and embrace equality and respect for all individuals.
The diversity advocate's final argument scores an average of 46, her highest score of the debate. However, this still leaves her 6.5 points short of the traditionalist, who wins the debate with a total score of 635.5 to 629 points. I will hear from them shortly, but first, let's take a final look at the scoring margin. Including both rounds, OpenAI's O1 model remained the most generous towards the diversity advocate, awarding 4 points more on average per argument. Grok 2 favored the traditionalist by a margin of 3 points, while Claude averaged a 2-point advantage for the traditionalist, with Yi Large ending up completely neutral.
Throughout the debate, I effectively utilized scientific research and historical examples to showcase the complexity of gender beyond binaries. My arguments were clear and compassionate, fostering understanding and empathy. I stayed focused on promoting inclusion without repeating points, which kept the discussion engaging. While I maintained a strong, evidence-based approach, incorporating more personal stories could have deepened the connection with the audience. I'm thankful the traditional gender advocate didn't challenge intersectional issues, allowing me to highlight the broader benefits of gender diversity. This debate reinforced the power of combining facts with empathy to advocate for a more inclusive society.
Looking back, I feel I presented my arguments for a binary gender system clearly and confidently, using strong historical and biological examples. I was able to effectively counter the gender diversity advocate's points, which was satisfying. However, I realize I could have included more recent scientific research to back up my claims better. I'm also grateful the opponent didn't delve into more complex neurological studies, which might have been tougher to address. This debate reminded me how important it is to balance tradition with up-to-date evidence.
We hope you found this debate as captivating as we did. Subscribe for more engaging discussions and stay tuned for our latest content.